and salutations, my dearest friends. My name is Samantha, and today I'm going to be talking all about Omegaverse. Omegaverse is a genre that I have recently been getting into, and I wanted to do a dedicated video where I give a guide to Omegaverse. What is it? What books do I recommend? And where the heck do you even begin with this genre? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Hello, how are you? Welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to Vlogmas. I'm filming videos every single day in Vlogmas. I'm doing my best here. And today I'm going to be doing an Omegaverse guide, if that makes sense. We're gonna dive deep into this subgenre, alright? Omegaverse is glorious and magical, and I feel like it's so unique. I've never read any genre like it, and I need to speak about it, okay? I need to let you guys know about it if you don't know already. I'm sure you already know because I'm like late to this genre. I mentioned Omegaverse on my channel. I also did a specific recommendation where I recommend some of my favorite Omegaverse books, so I'm going to link those videos down below for your viewing pleasure. This is kind of an overall guide and kind of a deep dive on what the genre is. So I think the origin of Omegaverse really started in fan fiction and manga. That's where I saw it the most, and I will absolutely credit my friend Desiree from Genki Reader. She is the one who introduced me to this wild, fun genre. If you're looking for strictly recommendations and you're already familiar with this genre, like I said, I have a dedicated video to that. So what is Omegaverse? Well, friends, it is a fun, wild time. That's what it is. But on Google, let's get the actual definition for it. It says Omegaverse, also known as ABO, an abbreviation for Alpha, Beta, and Omega, is a subgenre of speculative erotic fiction, romance, and was originally a subgenre of fan fiction. Now I see the subgenre kind of expanded into everything like paranormal romance, contemporary romance, manga, fan fiction, just everything. You can have Omegaverse in a lot of different paranormal sections. So I've seen some that are aliens, I've seen some that are werewolf shifters, I've seen some that are humans, but they just have enhanced animalistic tendencies. So it really does depend on the author and what area they want to take it. There truly are no rules to this genre. Let me first break down what is an alpha, beta, and an omega. An alpha is the big zog, the big zaddy. That's what I like to call them. They're basically like top of the hierarchy, the more dominant men and women. You can have both a female alpha and a male alpha, but in Omegaverse it is most common to have a male alpha. If you're familiar with werewolf shifters, you might already know some of this terminology, but an alpha's job is more of a protective role, looking for an omega to kind of complete their pack. Most of the time in a lot of Omegaverses, only omegas can get pregnant, so they're looking for an omega to spoil and cherish and provide for so they can create a family. I've read some where they are werewolf shifters, and I've also read some where they are humans, but the majority of alphas have the ability to mark their mate. That is how they mark their fated mate and kind of let other people know like that is their omega. It's very primal, you know, like think mating and biting and claiming. It can be a little bit possessive, but it can also be awesome. Another thing about Omegaverse and alphas, there is this thing called nodding. So a lot of the alphas' main goal is to procreate, breed, all of that. Like I said, animalistic tendencies. So they have, how do I describe it? They have fancy genitals that has like a knot at the end that can knot into their partner and basically ensure that their partner breeds. I don't really know how to describe that. Like that is pretty unique to Omegaverse. I've never seen that in another romance book ever. And you have your betas. So your betas are like your regular people. They are more normal, if that makes sense. And betas definitely have a place in Omegaverse. You will find a lot of polyamorous Omegaverses, and a lot of times betas are the glue that kind of binds it together. They aren't overly possessive as alphas, don't have to deal with heats like omegas, and they're kind of just that perfect in-between balance. So a lot of times when I read about a beta, it's usually in a polyamorous glamorous Omegaverse world, but you will see them kind of throughout the book. Again, there is a hierarchy, so if there was a hierarchy, they do fall under alphas. You have Omegas who play a very important role. They are like the creme de la creme to alphas. Omegas are usually, not always, but usually the more submissive of the trio that we've talked about. They can also get pregnant. In Omegaverse, you have mpreg, and basically what mpreg is that males can get pregnant in this universe. So a lot of times you will see male-male romances. Every once in a while, especially with fan fiction, you will see a sapphic romance where it's a female and a female and they can get pregnant. In Omegaverse, really you just have to be an Omega to get pregnant. In some, I've seen some where betas can get pregnant, but mainly it is the Omegas. And again, I'm making more general statements just so you could understand the genre. Omegas like to be spoiled. There's this thing called nesting, which is like one of my favorite things in Omegaverse. It's similar to how like pregnant women say they go through like a nesting phase where they want everything organized and clean and, you know, ready for their upcoming child. Omegas are kind of like that. They like to be spoiled. They like to have luxurious places to nest in during their heat. And what a heat is basically, it depends on the Omegaverse if it's like once a month or periodically throughout the year. Omegas go through an experience where they crave an alpha. So they crave either an alpha's bite or an alpha's bonding, and mainly they crave like sexual intimacy. And I already went through some terms, but some terms you will often see in Omegaverse is nesting. Like I said, that is kind of when a Omega likes to be spoiled and likes to create a very comfortable place for them when they're going through their heat. You will come across the term knotting, which is basically when an alpha knots their Omega to ensure that they get pregnant. And a heat is when an Omega experiences a biological reaction where they are drawn to alphas and they crave sex, basically. If you're already a fan of like a dom-sub relationship when it comes to BDSM, I feel like you would be kind of familiar with this hierarchy of Omegaverse. I will say about this genre is, like I said, it is a fun, wild time, and this is incredibly steamy, spicy, whatever word you want to use it in. So if you're not a fan of those books, just know that going in is a huge part of this subgenre. And that with Omegaverse, you do get a lot of intricate plot and character development because it really is the bond between the characters that you're following. Even still, if you don't like steamy books, then you're just not gonna like this subgenre. I love this subgenre though, but I just wanted to give that little disclaimer. I know some people don't like when we talk about books and kind of break them down for their steam or spice level. I know it's a whole conversation on TikTok and things like that, but I always get asked. So if you're someone who reads very light, maybe fluffy rom-coms, then I definitely wouldn't say this is your genre or subgenre. But if you're someone who reads a lot of fated mates, dark romances, paranormal romances, BDSM romances, and you're already like steeped into that and you're looking for something a little extra spicy, a little something different, then this is for you. You are the people this genre was created for. With every subgenre, authors take creative liberty, so you will find tons of different types of Omegaverses: monster Omegaverses, alien Omegaverses, werewolf shifter, regular humans, all of the above. My favorite is probably werewolf shifters. The thing to kind of talk about with Omegaverse is the trigger warnings. So there are plenty of Omegaverse, but there are a lot of Omegaverses that are a little bit darker. Because Omegas are so irresistible, and because there is a hierarchy of alphas kind of being on top, you will find a lot of Omegaverses that teeter very dark, sensitive topics such as sexual assaults. Also, the whole conversation about someone being designated a role by birth could be potentially triggering for a lot of people. No means want to put you off on reading the genre, but I just want to be like fully transparent that some Omegaverses can be really dark. Whenever I read an mpreg book, a lot of times there is high risk pregnancies involved, so a lot of Omegaverses have things like miscarriages, loss of a loved one, infertility. That is also a trigger warning I see often used in this type of genre. There are also a lot of sweet Omegaverses, and they're literally called sweet Omegaverses, very low angst Omegaverses. One of the first Omegaverse books that I read was by Catherine Moon. It was Baby and the Late Night Howlers, and that is literally called a sweet Omegaverse. Guaranteed happily ever after. Our heroes are just like madly, deeply in love with their Omega, and it's so sweet and fun to read about. I feel like if you were looking for an introduction and you don't want to dive straight into a dark Omegaverse, then I do think that this sweet Omegaverse series by Catherine Moon is a good one. She also co-writes this series with an author named Lana Cole. She also writes Omegaverses that have a guaranteed happy ending and are pretty sweet and low angst. I'll talk about this book more in depth in my recommendation video. I just wanted to quickly talk about the series because it was the first introduction I personally had to Omegaverse. Hope that helped if you guys didn't know what Omegaverse was. I hope this was kind of an informative guide. Was it informative? I don't really know. I don't think so. I feel like it was a little bit of a mess. In the middle of filming this, I thought I broke my camera and I literally cried for like 30 minutes. So I'm so happy that I was able to fix it and film this outro, but I feel like my brain is super frazzled. So if you have any thoughts on Omegaverse, leave a comment down below. I am by no means an expert. I am just someone who had stumbled upon this genre because my dear friend recommended it to me, and it has me in a chokehold. It's all I want to read. I don't want to read anything else. And I thought I would film this video so you guys could know about it and hopefully love on it like me. Guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. It means the world to me. I hope you guys are all staying happy and healthy, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Bye!